Let's go Dolphins! While the world continues to talk about Tyreek, Tua, and the playoff race, a silent storm is brewing in the tight end group, and it could decide the fate of this team in 2026 and beyond. Now, I know what you're thinking. Tight ends don't win Super Bowls. But what if I told you that the tight end situation in Miami is more unstable than ever? Only one player under contract for next season, key veterans possibly leaving, and a coach who hasn't yet managed to build this group in his own image? This isn't just a position dispute. It's a complete identity crisis, and what the Dolphins do next might surprise you. Before we continue, don't forget to click the like button, but only if you're a die-hard Dolphins fan. And if you've been following the team since the Marino era, I want you to comment, "Go Dolphins!" My heart bleeds aqua and orange, because in the next few minutes, we're going to dive into the harsh reality, injuries, potential retirements, names you didn't expect to stand out, and why this overhaul at the tight end position could save or sink the Dolphins' upcoming playoff run. Let's go. Let's not sugarcoat it. Miami's playoff hopes are hanging by a thread. The Dolphins sit at 6-7, and with 4 games left, the path to the postseason is more like climbing Everest without oxygen. If they want to keep any glimmer of hope alive, they must finish the season 10-7. That means a perfect finish for straight wins, no room for error. And even then, they'd need a miracle meltdown from other wild-card contenders. The Chargers went over the Eagles. Yes, the same Eagles who completely crumbled with Jalen Hurts throwing 4 picks, just get at Miami's playoff math. That game alone dropped Miami's win-out playoff odds from 23% down to 12%. It was a brutal swing, a missed opportunity, and yet another reminder that even when Miami takes care of their business, they can't count on help from the rest of the league. So, if you're a fan sitting at home hoping for a January miracle, here's the Week 15 rooting guide. First, Miami has to beat the Steelers. Period. No excuses. Then you need the Texans to lose to the Cardinals, the Patriots to somehow take down the Bills, the Seahawks to beat the Colts, and even the Jets to beat the Jaguars, which, let's be honest, feels like a long shot. If all of that happens and the Dolphins go on a 4-game tear, their playoff chance only bumps to 26%. That's the harsh reality. The margin is razor thin. But while the playoff conversation dominates the headlines, there's another story that's flying under the radar and deserves real attention: Miami's tight end situation. This is a group that's in flux, and the decisions made in the next few months could reshape this offense. Let's start with Darren Waller. The big question: is he retiring again? Barry Jackson caught up with him recently, and Waller admitted he's undecided. He's not leaning one way or the other, says he'll evaluate everything at season's end. Waller has been electric when healthy, no doubt about it. In the 6 games he's played this season, he's been a red zone nightmare for defenses, for touchdowns in just 3 games, including 2 in his return against the Jets. Inside the 20, he's Tua's go-to guy. Inside the 10, he's practically automatic. But staying healthy has been the issue. He missed the first 3 games of the season, played 3.5, then landed on IR for another 4. Now let's talk about the state of the tight end room. As of right now, Jalen Connors is the only tight end under contract for 2026, and he's been on season-ending IR since August. So, not exactly the kind of long-term security you want at such a critical position. Julian Hill, he's had an up-and-down ride, but this season, he's turned it around. Known for his blocking, Hill has improved significantly in 2025, becoming a key cog in Miami's renewed focus on the run game. Mike Mcdaniel loves him, and if Mcdaniel stays in charge for 2026, it's almost a lock that Hill sticks around. Whether as tight end 2 or 3, he brings value, especially in a system that's notoriously hard to learn. But the name that's really made some noise? Greg Dulcich. Picked up off the practice squad after final cuts, he didn't see meaningful action until Waller went down. Since then, he's quietly matched Waller's stat line in receptions and nearly in yardage, 13 catches for 154 yards compared to Waller's 177. Against the Jets, he was the second leading receiver on the team. His numbers don't scream superstar, but his impact is undeniable. And that screen pass he turned into a 25-yard gain? That's the kind of play that can swing games. If Miami re-signs 2 out of the trio of Waller, Hill, and Dulcich, and brings in a fresh face from free agency or the draft, the tight end room might just turn into a position of strength for the first time in years. Speaking of the offseason, the Dolphins finally need to take this position seriously. Since Mike McDaniel took over, the tight end room has been a revolving door. Mike Gesicki in 2022, Durham Smythe in 2023, Jonnu Smith in 2024, and now this patchwork unit in 2025. There's been no continuity, no long-term investment. That has to change. Whether it's targeting someone like Isaiah Likely, Chig Okonkwo, or Cade Otton in free agency, or drafting a beast like Kenyon Sadiq or Michael Trigg, Miami needs to lock in a tight end who can grow with this offense and be a weapon for Tua or whoever is under center. The challenge with the tight end position isn't just about talent, it's about identity. What kind of offense does Mike McDaniel want to run moving forward? Because if this team is truly going to build around the run game and short to intermediate passing attack, then the tight end becomes a cornerstone, not a luxury. And if that's the case, the front office must stop treating it like a plug-and-play position. Let's get real. Darren Waller might be the most explosive pass catcher Miami has had at tight end in a while, but he can't be counted on to stay healthy. His production when available, elite. His availability, spotty at best. So even if Waller is willing to return on a team-friendly deal, can you afford to build your scheme around a player who's only played in 6 games this season and might retire before the next one begins? Now contrast that with Greg Dulcich, steady, reliable, and clearly growing. He's matched Waller's reception total and has quietly carved out a role in this offense. If you're building for the future, he might be the more logical piece. He's still developing, still hungry, and he's proven he can deliver in meaningful moments. And then there's Julian Hill, the emotional core of this tight end group. He was nearly cut last season, and now he's one of the key contributors in Miami's recent surge in the ground game. You can't overlook how important it is to have someone like Hill who knows McDaniel's playbook inside and out. Blocking tight ends may not make headlines, but they make drives possible, and Hill has become that guy for Miami. So here's the plan that makes the most sense. Re-sign Hill. Lock him in as your foundational blocker. Then choose one of the 2 receiving options, Waller if he stays healthy and committed, or Dulcich if you want to bet on youth and upside. That gives you 2 known quantities. After that, you swing in free agency or the draft. Isaiah Likely, Cade Otton, Chig Okonkwo, these are names that could change the dynamic of this offense. Young, athletic, and ready to grow into TE1 roles, they would bring a fresh spark to a position that's been stuck in limbo for years. Miami has money to spend and holes to fill. The tight end spot should be near the top of the list. And don't sleep on the draft either. There's real value on day 2 and day 3, with players like Michael Trigg and Eli Stowers offering size and athleticism that could bring a new dimension to the passing game. Why not invest in a young tight end who can develop behind veterans like Hill and Dulcich and eventually take over as the long-term solution? Here's what this all comes down to. The Dolphins can't afford to ignore tight end any longer. Whether it's Tua, another quarterback, or a whole new offensive strategy next season, this team needs stability and production from that room. For too long, it's been a revolving door, short-term contracts, underwhelming performances, and constant change. That has to stop. A well-constructed tight end room can take pressure off the quarterback, open up the run game, and change how defenses play Miami's offense. And let's take it a step further, because the implications go deeper than just next season's depth chart. What we're really looking at is whether or not the Miami Dolphins are ready to stop putting band-aids on long-term problems. The tight end room has been a mirror of Miami's recent identity crisis. Are we building a championship-caliber roster with pieces that fit together long-term, or are we simply filling gaps year to year and hoping for the best? Look at the past few seasons. Mike Gesicki was a phenomenal pass catcher, but he didn't fit McDaniel's system. Durham Smythe? Serviceable, but never dynamic. Jonnu Smith in 2024? Another temporary fix. And now in 2025, it's a patchwork of Waller, Hill, and Dulcich, none of whom were part of the original plan. That's not a blueprint. That's improvisation. And here's the truth. McDaniel's offense doesn't require an elite tight end, but it benefits immensely from having one. We've seen glimpses this year, whether it's Waller's red zone presence, Hill's blocking prowess, or Dulcich's ability to make plays after the catch. Imagine if they actually had someone who could do all 3 consistently. You give McDaniel a reliable, dual-threat tight end who can stay on the field, and suddenly this offense becomes unpredictable. Defenses can't just focus on Tyreek and Waddle. They have to account for that third layer in the middle of the field, especially in the red zone where space is tight and decision-making is everything. That's why I keep coming back to the idea of drafting someone like Michael Trigg or targeting Isaiah Likely in free agency. These are guys who could be in Miami for 5 years, growing with the offense and giving Tua, or whoever takes the reins at quarterback, a safety valve that changes games. And it's not just about the player. It's about sending a message that this front office is finally ready to build something sustainable. Because fans are tired of the almost seasons, the 9-8 finishes, the December collapses. This fan base wants a team that can not only get to the playoffs but go